Look, fellas, if you're taking that little daily pill and still feeling hit or miss, frustrated or quietly worried it's starting not to work, the problem probably isn't your body, and it's not the dose either. What gets men in trouble is something way more subtle. A small habit, a timing mistake, one assumption almost every guy over 40 makes without even realizing it. I see men every week who think they're doing everything right, but one hidden error is quietly cancelling out the effect they're counting on. And the longer it goes on, the more confidence it chips away, in the bedroom and outside of it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you don't fix this early, you don't just lose performance, you start losing trust in your own body. I'm Dr. Rosalia Viterbo, and I specialize in men's health, especially helping men over 40 regain their energy, confidence, and sexual performance without guesswork or embarrassment. I work with men every single day who are successful in their careers, strong for their families, but quietly frustrated with what's happening to their bodies. Low energy, brain fog, performance that feels unpredictable. I've spent years studying how aging, hormones, blood flow, and medications like Tadalafil actually interact in the real world, not just in textbooks. And my job isn't to lecture you or rush you out the door. It's to explain what's really going on inside your body, in plain English, so you can finally get results that make sense and last. Here's exactly what we're going to cover today. I'm going to walk you through 5 proven practical tips that can dramatically improve how Tadalafil works in your body. Things most men are never told when they get the prescription. We'll talk about timing, lifestyle factors, hormones, and a couple of silent mistakes that completely sabotage results. I'll also explain why what worked in your 30s doesn't work the same way after 40, and what actually does. And make sure you stay with me until the end, because the final tip is the one I see even other doctors overlook, and it's often the missing piece for men who think the medication stopped working. Before we jump into the tips, you've got to understand why this topic matters so much, especially after 40, because Tadalafil isn't a magic switch. It doesn't create desire, it doesn't override biology, and it definitely doesn't cancel out years of stress, poor sleep, or hormone changes. What it does is support blood flow. That's it. And blood flow depends on a lot more than most men realize. Here's what's happening as you age. Testosterone slowly declines, sometimes subtly, sometimes aggressively. Blood vessels become a little stiffer. Nitric oxide production drops. Inflammation creeps up. Your nervous system stays stuck in fight or flight more often. Think of it like an old garden hose. The water pressure might still be there, but the hose is kinked, stiff, and partially clogged. Tadalafil can increase the pressure, but if the hose is compromised, results are inconsistent. Most men are told, take this pill and you'll be fine. No discussion about sleep, no conversation about hormones, no warning about food, alcohol, stress, or timing. So when it doesn't work the way they expect, they assume the problem is aging, or worse, that something is broken. That's where frustration, shame, and silence creep in. Another thing men get wrong is thinking erections are purely mechanical. They're not. Erections are a vascular, hormonal, and neurological event all happening at once. Your brain has to feel safe. Your hormones have to be adequate. Your blood vessels have to respond. And your lifestyle has to support all of it. Miss one piece, and the whole system underperforms. And this problem sneaks up on men because it's gradual. One off night turns into occasional inconsistency. Then planning becomes anxiety. Then confidence drops. And now the medication that used to work feels unreliable. Not because it failed, but because your body changed and nobody adjusted the strategy. That's why optimizing Tadalafil matters, not increasing the dose blindly, not stacking pills, but understanding how to work with your physiology at this stage of life. Once you get that, the results can be dramatically better and a lot more predictable. First, you're taking it at the wrong time and with the wrong expectations. This is probably the most common mistake I see. A lot of men treat Tadalafil like a light switch. They take it and expect an automatic, immediate response. That's not how this medication is designed to work. especially at lower daily doses. Tadalafil works by improving blood vessel responsiveness over time. Think of it less like a shot of espresso and more like upgrading your engine. If you're on daily Tadalafil, the benefit builds gradually as blood flow improves system-wide, not just in the penis, but in the prostate, pelvic floor, and vascular lining. Men over 40 often have slower absorption and altered metabolism. That means timing matters more now than it did at 30. Taking it inconsistently, skipping days, or only using it reactively leads to unpredictable results. What most men think, "I'll just take it when I need it." What actually works? Consistent use as prescribed, with realistic expectations. You're creating better conditions, not forcing an outcome. Second, your hormones are undermining the medication. Here's some straight talk. If your testosterone is low or borderline low, Tadalafil is working with one hand tied behind its back. Testosterone doesn't cause erections directly, but it primes the entire system. It supports nitric oxide production, vascular health, libido, and confidence. When levels drop, as they often do after 40, blood flow medications feel weaker. I see men chasing higher doses when the real issue is hormonal imbalance. Low testosterone, high estrogen, elevated cortisol, any one of these can reduce responsiveness. Real-life example. A guy tells me, "Doc, it works sometimes, but not others." When we check labs, testosterone is scraping the bottom of normal. What you should do? Stop guessing. Get evaluated properly. You don't need to jump straight to therapy, but you do need awareness. Medication helps blood flow. Hormones tell the body how to use it. Third, food, alcohol, and lifestyle are quietly sabotaging results. This one surprises a lot of men. Heavy meals, especially high-fat meals, can slow absorption. Excess alcohol dulls nerve signaling and drops blood pressure too much. Poor sleep wrecks nitric oxide production. Chronic stress locks your nervous system in survival mode. You can't expect peak performance if your body thinks it's under attack. Most men think, the pill should override all that. Reality, the pill amplifies whatever environment you give it. If you're eating late, drinking heavily, sleeping 5 hours, and living on caffeine, Tadalafil is fighting upstream. Simple fixes make a huge difference. Lighter meals, better hydration, limiting alcohol, prioritizing sleep. These are boring, but they work. Fourth, anxiety and overthinking are blocking the signal. This is the part men hate to hear, but it's real. Erections are not just about blood flow. They require the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and relax state. Performance anxiety activates the opposite system. Here's what happens. You take Tadalafil, you wait, you start checking, you get in your head. Your body interprets stress, blood vessels constrict. Result? Disappointment. Men over 40 are especially vulnerable because 1 or 2 bad experiences create anticipation and pressure. What helps? Stop monitoring. Stop timing sex, like a test. Create conditions where arousal can happen naturally. The medication works best when you're not trying to force it. This isn't weakness, it's physiology. Fifth, you're treating Tadalafil as the solution instead of the support. This is the biggest mindset shift. Tadalafil is not the foundation, it's the assist. If you're not addressing cardiovascular health, insulin resistance, inflammation, pelvic floor tension, or hormone decline, you're asking one medication to compensate for an entire system under strain. Men who get the best results treat Tadalafil as part of a bigger strategy. Movement, strength training, stress management, nutrition, hormone optimization. What most men do, give me the pill. What actually works long-term, fix the system and let the pill enhance it. When you do that, results don't just improve, they stabilize. He was 52 years old, married, busy professional, in decent shape on the outside, but exhausted on the inside. He came in saying, "Doc, the medication works, sometimes, other times, nothing. And that's messing with my head." He was already on Tadalafil, taking it inconsistently, usually after a heavy dinner, often with a couple drinks, and only when he felt pressure for it to work. When we dug deeper, a few things stood out. His testosterone was low normal, but clearly declining. Sleep was poor, 5 to 6 hours a night. Stress was high, he wasn't exercising regularly anymore. And mentally, he was bracing for failure before anything even started. Here's what we didn't do. We didn't double the dose. We didn't stack medications. We didn't tell him this is just aging. Instead, we adjusted timing and consistency with Tadalafil. We addressed sleep first because nothing fixes hormones if sleep is broken. We cleaned up alcohol use. We worked on stress and performance anxiety, and we had an honest conversation about testosterone and vascular health. 3 months later, he came back and said something I hear all the time when things click. He said, "It feels predictable again. I'm not thinking about it, I just feel like myself." That's the real win. Not just better erections, but restored confidence, less pressure, and trust in his body again. Myth number 1. If Tadalafil doesn't work every time, it means it failed. That's not true. Erections are variable by nature, especially after 40. Stress, fatigue, hormones, and mindset all fluctuate. Expecting pharmaceutical perfection sets you up for anxiety, and anxiety is one of the fastest ways to block results. The medication improves the probability of success. It doesn't guarantee a performance on demand. Myth number 2. I just need a higher dose. This one gets men in trouble. Higher doses don't fix poor sleep, low testosterone, heavy drinking, or chronic stress. In fact, pushing the dose can worsen side effects like headaches, reflux, or blood pressure drops, which then create more anxiety and avoidance. More is not better if the foundation is weak. Myth number 3. If I need medication, something is wrong with me. This belief keeps men silent and frustrated. The truth is, using Tadalafil after 40 is often no different than wearing reading glasses. Blood vessels age, hormones shift. The medication doesn't mean failure, it means adaptation. The problem isn't using support. The problem is using it without understanding your body. Here's the part nobody tells you. When men stop fighting reality and start working with physiology, results improve dramatically. Shame disappears, confidence returns, and performance becomes something you experience, not something you chase. First, Tadalafil works best when it's used consistently and with the right expectations, not as a last-minute fix. Second, hormones matter, especially testosterone. If they're low, the medication can't do its job properly. Third, lifestyle factors like food, alcohol, sleep, and stress either support the medication or sabotage it. Fourth, anxiety and overthinking can completely block the signal, even when blood flow is technically improved. And fifth, Tadalafil is support, not the solution. When your overall health is optimized, the medication works better and more reliably. If you remember nothing else, remember this. The men who get the best results aren't using stronger drugs, they're using smarter strategies. Before we wrap up, let me quickly bring this all together so it's crystal clear. First, Tadalafil works best when you use it consistently and intentionally, not like an emergency button at the last second. Second, your hormones, especially testosterone, set the ceiling for how well the medication can work. Third, food, alcohol, sleep, and stress either support blood flow or quietly shut it down. Fourth, performance anxiety and overthinking can override the medication even when circulation is improved. And fifth, Tadalafil is a support tool, not the foundation. When your overall health is optimized, results become stronger and more predictable. If this video helped you understand what's really going on with your body, do me a favor and hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this is content men actually need to see. And if you're a man over 40 who wants clear, honest guidance on hormones, energy, and sexual health, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. I also want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me what's been the most frustrating part for you. Timing, consistency, confidence, or feeling like the medication just isn't reliable anymore. I read those comments, and they help shape future videos. And if you want a deeper dive, I've put a free men's health guide in the description below. No fluff, just practical steps to help your body work better, starting now. Check it out and take control of this instead of guessing. I want you to remember this. If you're struggling, you're not broken, and you're not alone. What you're experiencing is common, it's fixable, and it deserves real attention, not silence or shame. Your body is changing, but that doesn't mean your best years are behind you. With the right information and the right strategy, you can feel confident and in control again. I'm Dr. Rosalia Viterbo. Take care of your health, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.